We have breaking news this hour. Matt Gaetz is stepping down from his nomination to Attorney General of the United States. Many said this was the most contentious of the nominations made by former President Trump. And he has announced categorically that he will not be seeking confirmation to the post of Attorney General. Here are his words. I had an excellent meeting with senators yesterday. I appreciate their thoughtful feedback and the incredible support of so many. While the momentum was strong, it is clear that my confirmation was unfairly becoming a distraction to the critical work of the Trump-Vance transition. There's no time to waste on a needlessly protracted Washington scuffle. Thus, I'll be withdrawing my name from consideration to serve as Attorney General. Trump's DOJ must be in place and ready on day one. I remain fully committed to seeing that Donald J. Trump is the most successful president in history. Look, Griff, this was quick. I mean, the appointment came as a surprise to many, and we will see what happens. We know the deputy is Todd Blanche. That was Trump's attorney in his case with Alvin Bragg here in New York. Many suspected that if Gaetz did not make it through, that perhaps Blanche would be elevated.
Matt Gaetz dropping out.
Holy I didn't see that coming.
Oh.
I mean, yes, he was the ultimate troll, and people have the opportunity. They can freak out over things and respond. And if you want to do that, you don't have to. You better pace yourself, though, because it's not even Thanksgiving. And we don't have to react and take unserious things so seriously that the world's going to spin off its axis the way it is right now. But I just heard something. I heard that Trump is going to issue a new silver dollar to commemorate that. So I think that's going to be the next cycle.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about more drama on Capitol Hill because Matt Gaetz has decided to withdraw from being nominated to be the Attorney General of the United States to lead the DOJ. Now, we all know that this is coming as Matt Gaetz is facing a bunch of allegations, and those allegations are just that, allegations. None of this stuff has been proven. I haven't seen a shred of evidence. Nobody showed me any evidence that these allegations are true.
Sexual misconduct allegations seem not to matter anymore. It seems like unless you have a sexual misconduct allegation, you can't be in the cabinet.
That's true.
I mean, that's what it's looking like because, I mean, was it 11 people? And maybe one of the 11 doesn't have something going on?
Years ago, I think it was Cindy Adams used to have these parties, and they'd say, if you're not indicted, you're not invited. And it reminds me of this, in a way. It's like, oh, let's see, who's accused of sexual assault? Put him in the cabinet. And they're like, pick me, pick me.
A few moments later.
Oh, sorry. Legal note.
I have a legal note. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations and has not been charged with any crime.
Yep.
Gaetz previously dismissed allegations that he paid for sex, saying that, quote, someone is trying to recategorize my generosity to ex-girlfriends as something more untoward. Another legal note, Pete Hegseth's lawyer said he paid the woman in 2023 to head off the threat of a baseless lawsuit. He has denied any wrongdoing.
Just call the show Legal Note from now on.
Or really long music. We'll be right back.
But when you are a Republican and you're facing allegations, according to the media and the Democrat Party, they might as well be true, right? Doesn't matter if the DOJ, the Biden-led DOJ, investigated these allegations and concluded that, hey, no charges should be brought. Doesn't matter if you haven't been found guilty, you haven't been charged with anything. You might as well just be guilty, according to the media, the Democrats, and to some Republicans, swamp creatures, who apparently were a part of the reason why Matt Gaetz decided to withdraw from being considered to be the next Attorney General of the United States.
I was shocked by the nomination, given the many allegations, but that's why it's important that the Senate go through its process of making sure that we have a background check, that we have a Senate investigation, which involves extensive interviews and questionnaires, and then a public hearing.
And to our viewers, what Donald Trump just said, his reaction is as following. I greatly appreciate the recent efforts of Matt Gaetz in seeking approval to be Attorney General. He was doing very well, but at the same time did not want to be a distraction for the administration, for which he has much respect. Matt has a wonderful future, and I look forward to watching all of the great things he will do. What's your reaction to just, first of all, just the withdrawal?
I think the numbers weren't there. He came here, he met with senators, they started doing the math. It was becoming a distraction. This was dominating the news. We were seeing the drip, drip, drip. And he did what I think is the right thing. He put his loyalty to the president first. He said, I don't want to be a distraction to this administration and getting the work done that President Trump needs to get done, and I'm going to withdraw my name. And I think a lot of people agree with this decision.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, right? Basically, all it took was for Republicans to sink Matt Gaetz' nomination in regards to him being confirmed via the normal process. Now, me personally, I believe that Trump would have went all the way through with recess appointments had Matt Gaetz decided to stay in the running. Now, Matt Gaetz says that he pulled out because he did not want to be a distraction to the president. He wanted the attorney general to be in office on day one, right? So kudos to Matt Gaetz for putting the president and his agenda ahead of his own aspirations, right? Because he could have stuck it out. He could have went through a very, very, very tough process of having all of these allegations that are unproven be talked about and basically having his name smeared through the mud just for these Republicans to refuse to confirm him anyways, and then having to be confirmed via recess appointments, which in and of itself are controversial. So with that being said, let's actually read here about the Republicans that allegedly were responsible for refusing to get on board with Matt Gaetz becoming Attorney General. Longtime Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell was reportedly among the 4 Republican senators to sink Matt Gaetz' bid to be confirmed as Attorney General. According to the New York Times, Jonathan Swan, quote, Gaetz told people close to him that he concluded after conversation with senators and their staff that there were at least 4 Republican senators who were implacably opposed to his nomination: Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Susan Collins of Maine, Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, and John Curtis of Utah. Yeah, so again, you know, these are Republicans that are members of the swamp, right? All of them. All of them are swamp creatures. And it's no surprise that they basically said that no matter what, we are not going to confirm Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. Now, what does this mean? Right? What does it mean politically? What's going on here? Well, first and foremost, what it means is that the Republican Senate majority is smaller than we think, okay? Republicans have 53 seats to the Democrats' 47 seats, but the reality is it's closer to 50-50 because when it comes to Trump's agenda and the things that he wants to do, right, the things that are more controversial, again, like, for example, to nominate Matt Gaetz to be the Attorney General, right, the things that the swamp is not going to be okay with, right, the anti-establishment agenda, it's much closer to basically having an even Senate, right, because, again, all it takes is 4 of these Republicans to say, nope, we're not going to get on board with it, and that can basically sink anything that Trump wants to do, right? And this is the first time that they've shown before Trump is even in office that they are willing to do that. So we know that the swamp creatures are willing to revolt against Trump's agenda. And I told you guys that one of the things that held Trump back the most in his first term was not necessarily the Democrats. It was the Republicans, okay? And lo and behold, it's already happening, okay, for his second term. You have Republicans that are basically coming out and saying, no, we're not going to get on board with some things, okay? So people got to understand that in order for Trump to accomplish his agenda, the things that really need to be done, it's not going to be that easy, okay? Because you got a lot of these guys that are going to side with the establishment, okay? They're going to side with the swamp. And that's what happened in this Matt Gaetz situation. That's exactly what happened. So Mitch McConnell seems to still have a little bit of sway, right? All of those people are basically Mitch McConnell people. Now, what that means is that Mitch McConnell probably will be the sacrificial lamb to protect his other minions, right? His other puppets like John Thune, right? What do I mean by that? Well, John Thune did not really come out and say anything about Matt Gaetz. He basically just indicated that, yeah, we're going to do whatever we can do to get Trump's picks confirmed, right? But he really didn't say one way or the other about Matt Gaetz. What that really means is that he is being protected by Mitch McConnell, right? Because if he comes out and he's against Matt Gaetz saying, hey, I can't vote to confirm him, then what happens is that he will start to take a lot of heat. So instead of doing that, what you do is that you put Mitch McConnell out, who at this point is basically on the verge of retirement, right? He's already taken all the heat before in the past. He doesn't care about going against the president. So you throw him out there and all of his other minions who also don't care, right? And they are the ones that will take the heat, even though there are others who also probably, push come to shove, would not have confirmed Matt Gaetz either, right? So what that means is that actually we're probably working more uphill than we think when it comes to the amount of Republicans that are actually willing to get on board with the Trump agenda. And we could very well be looking at the same situation that we were looking at just a couple of years ago when Democrats were in charge and you had Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema basically holding up what they wanted to do, right? The things they really wanted to do, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema were the reason why they didn't get those things accomplished, because they was just like, no, we're not going to get on board with this, right? So essentially the situation is flipped, except this time you have at least 4 Republicans who've already revealed themselves to be Joe Manchin's and Kyrsten Sinema's to the Republican Party, right? So not necessarily a good thing, but hey, at least we know early on who we need to worry about, right? Who we have to focus on in regards to the Republicans that seem to be dead set on opposing the will of the people, right? So with that being said, what happens to Matt Gaetz? He resigned from his position in Congress, and now he's resigning as a potential nominee to be Attorney General. So he's basically without a job. What does that actually mean for him and his career? Well, a lot of people are speculating that maybe Matt Gaetz could rerun in this special election to gain back his job in the House. Or maybe Ron DeSantis will appoint him to take Marco Rubio's place in the Senate. I think that there is a decent chance that he could be appointed by Ron DeSantis to take Marco Rubio's place. But I really think that Matt Gaetz wants to be the governor of Florida, right? I actually think that's what he wants to do. I think personally that's his real goal, right? That's what he actually really wants to do. And I think that's why he's comfortable basically withdrawing from the process of becoming Attorney General and resigning from the House, because maybe, hopefully, this prevents that House report from coming out, okay? The smear allegations against him, who knows? It might still come out. But regardless, even if it does come out, if he chills, if he falls back into the shadows for 2 years or whatever, and maybe he works with Trump kind of in an unofficial advisor position, or he stays close to Trump or whatever. I mean, I'm sure he's still going to be around Trump, right? But if he kind of just falls back into the shadows for a couple years, that could line him up to then run for governor, right? If he can kind of let this whole situation blow over. And the governor's race is a state race. So this report probably won't be that big of a deal, okay, in a Florida's governor race, because again of how popular he is within the MAGA movement. Florida is a MAGA state, like straight up, it is a MAGA state. It is a Trump state. So it's really not going to mean anything. It's not going to hurt him if he actually wanted to run for governor, okay, and he will be able to do so in just a few short years. So I think that's ultimately what he'll probably end up doing, to be honest with you guys. Now, I don't know who Trump is going to appoint to replace Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General pick, but regardless of who he picks, it's hard to imagine somebody else with more baggage than Matt Gaetz. And at this point, now that Matt Gaetz has kind of stepped down, I think that Trump is going to have a lot more leverage with whoever he appoints, and hopefully that individual is appointed for the same reasons that he wanted Matt Gaetz in that position, because that Attorney General spot is really, really, really important for going after the deep state. And he has to have somebody in there that he can trust, okay? He has to have somebody in there that has his back, that will take on the establishment, and that can do the job well. Who knows? He might end up picking somebody that can do the job better and is a bigger nightmare to the establishment than Matt Gaetz. So, hey, this is what Mitch McConnell wanted, but he might just end up regretting what he gets in Trump's next pick. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective.